The bells are ringing. Nope, they're still going. Enjoy the bells, people. Enjoy the bells. Okay, the bells have stopped. Hello, hi. I filmed, first of all, can we just appreciate this? My life has changed quite dramatically in the last, I don't even know, 6 weeks? Yeah, I think it was like 6 weeks ago, maybe slightly longer, that I posted a video talking about how I was 32, still living at my dad's, and didn't have a career or any kind of path that I was on career-wise. I'm now in a flat. I rent a flat, which I absolutely love, in the same town as one of my brothers, which is something that I've wanted for a while. And I work at an amazing university in London. So I thought I would basically just recap what has happened in my life in the last 6 weeks, and then also talk about some of the actionable steps that I feel actually got me to where I am. So let's journey back. I won't go into the whole shebang, but it was about last August that me and my brother Stace went on holiday together. He brought the D&D Player's Handbook, and within about half an hour, I was hooked. I started thinking about my character and I was like, this is amazing. So when we got back from the holiday, me, him and Red played like a first session of D&D, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. And I decided that I needed to move so that we could play more D&D. So from about September, I started hardcore saving. Up until that point, I wasn't really saving that much. And so I was like, I need to start saving. I want to move out. I need to be in my own place. I didn't know how I was going to make that happen, because the wage that I was on at that point, I was an art technician in a secondary school. It was nowhere near enough to cover what I needed to be on to support myself financially, to be in a place on my own. So I just started hardcore saving, and by the time it got to January, I was like, I need to hand in my notice. I need to quit this job, even if I don't have a job lined up. Now, I'm not necessarily recommending you do that. It can be very risky, but at the same time, I knew that if I didn't hand my notice in, if I just stayed at that job whilst looking for other jobs, it was never going to motivate me enough to look for work. And so I handed in my notice with a leaving date of the 1st of March. And between handing my notice in and my last day, I applied for probably about 16, 17 jobs. And by the time I left, I hadn't heard anything from any of them. Once I left work, I then started applying for loads more jobs. I think I applied for about 30 in total. Now, I got a call for an interview for this particular university on the 19th, on the 20th, which was 19 days after I handed my notice in. I went, did the interview, was extremely nervous about the interview because it was a panel interview that I have done one panel interview before. That was 3 people. This was 4 people. I was extremely nervous, especially because it was also in central London. It just felt very I know I'm 32 and I'm an adult, but it just felt very grown up and like fancy. And I don't consider myself to be a fancy person. So yes, I went and did the interview and I felt like it went very well. And then the next day I got a call to say, you know, thank you for coming in. And I thought, oh, you know, this is going to be the rejection call. And yeah, they said we would love to offer you the job. And it was just amazing. It was such an unbelievable feeling, because I had been, obviously you leave a job and you don't have one lined up. It's scary. And also I was planning on moving from where I was living, which was like in a small little beach town, to the place that I live now, which is, you know, it's a town and it's there's a lot more going on, and it was quite it wasn't far away, but there was some distance between it. So yeah, it was kind of, it blew my mind a little bit. I was like, I don't really understand how I left my job like 20 days ago and now I'm being offered this new job that was exponentially more money than I was on. Now, this is something that I'm going to get to in a bit when I talk about sort of actionable steps that you can, I feel, that one can put in to place, that I put into place. So I think one of the main things for me is that I decided what I wanted and then made steps to make it happen. So for example, I didn't let the job lead the lifestyle. So because I decided what I wanted first, I knew that I wanted to live in this specific town. And so I started looking at rent prices for flats, for one-bed flats, also for studio flats. So I started looking at rent prices. And so then when you add on things like gas, electric, water, all of that kind of business, food shopping, I had an idea of how much, I was able to work out how much I needed to be on to facilitate that lifestyle. That was one of the reasons that I didn't do anything about this for a long time, because in my head I was just like, I'm not allowed to be on that amount of money. I'm not qualified enough. I'm not this, I'm not that enough. You know, I'd never been on more than like 20 grand a year. And there's nothing wrong with that. But in order to live the life that I wanted to live, there was absolutely no way that was happening on 20 grand a year. And so I think this really strongly ties to your limiting beliefs. I don't really necessarily think that you have to eliminate your limiting beliefs. I don't think you have to get rid of them. I think it's just important to recognize that they are there and that you are doing subconsciously or consciously doing things or not doing things because of this belief. So in my head for a long time, I was like, well, I can't live in this particular place because the rent prices are too expensive. I'm on my own. I'm not sharing with anyone. I'm not qualified enough to have a job that pays this amount of money. And so I'm not even going to look. I'm not even going to put myself out there. I'm not even going to try. And so because I did that for so long, it's like, well, you're just allowing this belief that you have. This, I remember saying to my brother maybe like a year ago and saying, you know, well, I'm not allowed to earn that much money. Like how on earth am I ever going to earn that much money? Literally the only thing that was in the way of me earning that money was just applying for the jobs. I wasn't applying for any of those jobs because I felt like I wasn't qualified. And actually, yes, some of it comes down to qualifications or experience, but a massive part of, I think, why someone would want you for a job isn't those things. It's about how you come across in interview, how open you are, how competent you are at solving problems, how engaging you are as a person. All of that stuff is very, very relevant. In applying for this job, I wouldn't say that I had a crazy amount of experience in the job that I was applying for. I had a tiny bit. Personally, I believe that it was kind of the genuine conversations that we had in an interview that helped me get the job. My first step is decide what it is you actually want first. Forgetting about, I can't earn this much money, or I can't live there, or I can't do those things. Decide what it is that you want, and then think about what it is that is actually holding you back. Is it things that genuinely you cannot find a solution for, or is it just a belief in your head that you don't need to get rid of? You just need to recognize that it's absolute rubbish. My second step is take advantage of the resources around you. So when I quit my job, I had lots of conversations with my brother and my sister-in-law about the kinds of jobs that I could apply for. What kinds of jobs have I done that I do have experience in, that I could take to a job and be like, look, I've got this kind of experience. So we had lots of conversations about that kind of thing. I did lots of research. I went on Indeed, and I applied for so many jobs. I even applied for jobs that the salary range was lower than what I needed to be on. But actually, in doing that, in applying for those jobs, it just gives you more experience, especially when some of these places ask lots of questions in their within their job applications. And so through just consistently applying for jobs, I started building up this bank of answers for questions. And in the end, I started applying for a certain type of job because I had a conversation with, again, it's about using the resources around you. So my brother's best friend, he has lots of experience working in like higher education jobs. He's been on interview panels. He's selected people for interview from looking at their CVs. And so we organised a call, and I spoke to him, and I, had a few questions about what kinds of things should I be putting in my CV. If I do get called for interview, what kinds of things, are they going to be looking for? What kinds of things do you look for? And so it really is just about taking advantage as much as possible of things around you, even Google. Just Google things. Like, I was constantly on Google, like I was going through some job applications, and even the bog standard questions that are like, what are your greatest strengths? Just go onto Google and look at examples of that. It's brilliant. And also ChatGPT. I'm not saying use that to write your entire CV or resume, but it definitely did help me in just making my CV sound slightly fancier. It's basically an AI tool that helps. It's like a language AI tool. And it's free to use. And I found it extremely helpful because I wrote my whole CV, and then I would say, what's a really good way to say this? And so if I felt like a sentence in my CV was weak or, didn't quite put across the message that I wanted it to, I asked ChatGPT and it helped me out. Don't put it in word for word. There were some jobs that I applied for that specifically said in the application, do not use AI tools to complete this application. So yeah, just be wary of that. So this might seem like an obvious one, but I've written it down because it was important for me. It was one of my steps that I did not do for a long time. Saving. Don't get me wrong, like I know how... I was in a fortunate position because I was living with a parent, right? And then wanted to move out. If you're already living and like paying gastronomical amounts of rent, saving is obviously incredibly hard. And I'm not gonna, tell you to stop going to Starbucks and eating avocado toast or whatever that video was. But for me, I discovered that I was actually able to save a lot more than I thought. And sometimes it can be as easy as just sitting down with your finances and just having a look at each individual thing. Can I cut this down by £5? Can I cut this down by £2? Whatever it is, saving every month, no matter how much, it's going to go towards being able to, whatever you're watching this video for, maybe it is that you're living at home and you want to move out and rent a flat, or you're saving to buy your own place, or you're saving to go traveling, or you just want to change your life in some way. Maybe money doesn't even come into it, but I'm just sort of speaking from my own personal experience in this particular video. Number 4 is a quote that I saw actually when I was thinking about handing in my notice. I was like, shall I, shouldn't I? Is it stupid to hand in your notice when you don't even have a job lined up? And I saw one of those motivational videos on Instagram, and literally it was the shortest video ever. All he said was, make the move before you're ready. And it was one of those, sometimes you just hear a line and you're like, oh man, that just really resonated with me. It kind of hit me in the face. And I was like, yeah, I need to just do it because that will give me the push that I need. And yeah, like I said, I worked my last day at that school, and then 19 days later, I got offered another job in London, which is something that I've wanted to do for a really long time. Don't get me wrong. It's probably going to wear off quite soon because my commute is like an hour and a half every day there and back. Having said that, I do get 2 days work from home, which I didn't even know I was going to get when I got the job. And then on my first day, I found out that it was hybrid, and I was like, well, this is amazing. So yeah, I don't want this video to come across like... I was kind of reticent to make it because sometimes it comes across as like just braggy, doesn't it? Like, oh, look at me and my new flat and, my new job, and I'm so happy. And it's like, I don't, that's not really the point of the video. The point of the video is that I was very, very unhappy for a long time. And I actually have just realised, not just in this moment, but in going through this process, that I was the only one, annoyingly. You hear people say it all the time, it's so annoying, but I was the only one getting in the way of not getting the things that I really wanted, because I wasn't allowing myself to take the steps, because I didn't believe that either I was worthy of having those things, or worthy of earning a certain amount of money. I put this. It just blows my mind. So yeah, I decided what I wanted first. That's important. I think really think about what you want first. You don't need to get rid of the limiting beliefs, but just have a think about what they are. Write it down. Do a video diary. I do video diaries. That's an actual lie. I don't do video diaries all the time, but I have done video diaries at important points in my life. Take advantage of resources. Any resources around you, even if it's just Google, ChatGPT, and just people. People are great resources. Like, guaranteed your friend's mum's dad's sister knows someone that did that or did this, or, you know, just talk to people. And if you're introvert, then just go on Google. Try and save something. If that's what you're wanting to, if, you know, your dream involves having some money, it's hard, isn't it? Because it's like, just save some money. It's like, well, it's not always that easy, but what can I say? I'm just a human being, right? I'm just a human being that did some stuff, and I'm trying to impart some kind of wisdom here. And sometimes you need to make the move before you're ready. Yeah, I'm not saying quit your job right now if you don't have anything lined up, but sometimes a little bit of risk is healthy. It's very healthy, and it can give you the push that you need. So yes, that is it. I hope that you were able to take something from this video. The bells have started again, I noticed. I don't know what's going on. Is it a wedding? So yes, this is me signing out. Very happy, extremely, I know it's sickening, isn't it? Sometimes it's sickening to see other people happy, but I'm just incredibly happy right now in this moment of my life. So yes, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.